welcome to the Giving Voice to Depression podcast, produced in partnership with the A.B. Korkor Foundation for Mental Health. I'm Terry, the creator and co-host of this podcast. I've lived with depression most of my life, and I know how easy it can be to feel all alone in the experience. I'm not alone, and you aren't either.
And I'm Dr. Anita Sands, a licensed clinical psychologist and life coach with a number of my own diagnoses, all of which bring a certain amount of anxiety and depression along with them. There is great power in shared experiences. We share our own as we engage in intimate and candid conversations with our weekly guests, exploring different perspectives on and experiences with depression.
We keep it real because depression is real. We keep it hopeful because there truly is hope, in spite of what depression tells you.
Hi, Terry.
Hello, Anita.
You know, there's a saying that goes like this. When you're happy, you enjoy the music. But when you're sad, you understand the lyrics. That saying came to mind as we put this episode together because we're going to be talking with a singer, songwriter, guitarist about the lyrics to his band's new song, Anything Can Happen. Our guest today is Matt Whedon, one of two brothers in The Tours, a three-piece harmonic indie band from Devon in the UK.
And the moment we heard it, we wanted you to hear it. And what we suspect was a pretty good story behind it. So in the middle of the night, we wrote the band and asked if we were correct in thinking that the lyrics are about mental health conditions and depression in particular. Mm-hmm. The response was obviously a yes, and the contact information for their agent to set up this interview. So here is Matt Whedon of The Tours, giving his voice to depression. So I want to tell you how I came to reach out to you. Yeah. I also live with depression, and it was one of those wonderful sleepless nights, and it was probably 2:30, 3 in the morning here, and, got to the point where what are you going to do except scroll? And I saw you and your band members in one of the amazing spaces you decide to sing. And I thought, I'll bet that's really cool acoustics. And so I clicked on it, and the phrase that came up was, ironically, I know it isn't much, but I slept through the night. And I sort of chuckled thinking, well, I'm not. And then I opened the curtains so I'd hear the birds and get a taste of the light. I think I'm getting better. And I thought, I think this is about depression. And so I wrote you, and you said, yeah, let's talk. So I was like, that's amazing.
Oh, I love it.
So tell me how this song came to be.
I think subconsciously I hadn't really thought about the song. Like I wasn't intentionally trying to write a song about depression or something. It was just an exercise for me. It was getting it out of my mind. And I mean, you can sit down and try and write a song, and we often do that. But this song in particular came just during a really hard time in my life. And I think I just turned to music as a way to, I don't know, maybe express how I was feeling, but also I think just as a distraction. So I sort of had this line that I just kept singing over and over again. Are you allowed to swear on this podcast, by the way?
You can do whatever you want. If I have to bleep it, I will bleep it.
But it's just the line that I had where the melody is I know it shouldn't hurt, but again, da, da, da. And all I kept singing again and again was like, it really fucking hurts. Da, 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 da. Like every line would start with it really fucking hurts. To get out of bed, to eat breakfast, to go for it. And it was just, I just had this one line. I kept singing and singing because at that time, everything hurt, like doing everything. It was weird. Like even something I enjoy doing, like going for a walk with my dogs, like that was sort of just so, I don't know, just felt numb. Everything hurt and everything was a bit numb.
Just want to jump in here to point out how Matt describes what seems like a contradiction. The simultaneous experience of both pain and numbness with depression. Oh, and the physical weight of it, which you're going to hear described in the lyrics. People without depression might not understand those things, but we suspect most of you do. Here's the first verse of Anything Can Happen, which we're grateful to have gotten permission to use here.
I know it shouldn't hurt, to get out of bed. The buttons on my shirt come undone, weigh me down like they're made out of lead. I think I'm getting worse. I don't remember happy, and all I wanna do is sleep until I forget. But even when I start to dream, every little piece of me gets a little close to the edge of darkness. I know I've been here before, long as I'm not falling off, I'll be fine.
Do you mind stepping through the lyrics if I read them and you'd sort of tell me what you were thinking? I know it shouldn't hurt to get out of bed. The buttons on my shirt come undone, weigh me down like they're made out of lead. I think I'm getting worse. This line killed me. I don't remember happy. And talk to me about that. That's the stage you were reflecting back on, but obviously were out of when you wrote it.
Yeah, it was just this place of every day I just didn't want to do anything. I couldn't really eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't focus, which was very distracting for me because I'm a very driven person. I love to wake up early. I love to exercise. I like to achieve things. Like, it helps me. But when all this stuff happened, I just couldn't do anything. So it's like, I couldn't get out of bed. And then when I had to get dressed to go downstairs to have breakfast, I didn't want to put on clothes. Everything felt almost itchy on my skin because I was just feeling crap. And it was like, and I just couldn't remember being happy. That was even like, a week in of feeling that low. Everything was just so bad. And it totally blows me away that I don't really, your mind or your body can put you in that place. Yeah. Like, how do we do that to ourselves? How do we get that sad? And it's truly remarkable because I don't think you consciously do it. Something just happens. And it's, that's why so many people suffer, that it's not an easy thing that you can diagnose or explain or cure. It's just like your body sort of shuts down. Well, it was for me anyway, personally. And I wanted, like I said in this line, after that is all I want to do is sleep until I forget. And it's like, I just wanted to sleep. I just wanted I wanted to be, the world, a hole to open and eat me up. But I couldn't sleep because you've got so much in your mind, or you just feel too sad. And I don't know how you feel like when you're in a place like that, and it's just, you don't know how to do anything. It's everything in life flips itself on its head and it's all reversed. And you're like, what do I do?
What did you do?
I took every day as it comes. I tried to surround myself with good people. I feel very fortunate with the sense that I have a really great best friend called Kieran, who I love dearly, and he would talk to me nonstop. I mean, he would call me up all the time. I mean, we would talk for 2, 3, 4 hours a night, and he would wait on the phone until maybe I was falling asleep or I couldn't even talk anymore because I was so tired, just to be there.
Obviously, a friend like that is rare. So we wanted to hear more, because maybe we can learn how to be a better friend for someone who's struggling. Or we can send this episode to someone we wish would step up for us as an audio instruction manual of sorts, since subtlety is not an option when we need help. Either way, it's inspiring to hear what true support looks and feels like. Because when depression tells us repeatedly that no one cares, Matt's friend proves that some people truly do.
Luckily, like I said, I had that friend who was constant for me, which I know a lot of people don't have. And so, I feel so bad that some people don't have that. I think what he did so well is he would always give his opinion or talk about it, but all he really did was listen, and he would just sit on that phone. And it's kind of just so lovely to know that you have somebody that you could do that with. You don't even really have to talk, but you just know that someone's there. Because I think for me, when I was so inside my head and so depressed and I felt so alone, it was just like, does anybody care? Is there anyone out there that wants to hear about this? Because I often found each night I spoke to him, I just repeat myself again and again and again and again. And because it's in your head, isn't it? You go, what is wrong? Why am I like this? Why? Yeah, it's round and round in circles. And he would just listen every night. And I was so fortunate to have that. And I mean, I've had it since, because I've gone back to that place a couple of times because of my actions, because I struggle with other things like addictions and stuff. I'm very fortunate to have someone to listen to me.
There's another saying that being heard and being loved are so similar that most people can't differentiate them. And someone
anyone in a situation who feels loved, whether in depression or not, is going to feel better as a result. Being heard contributes to healing and wellness.
If someone says, I'm going through something, I never react personally like, oh, don't worry, it's going to get better. Just, stick with it. You're going to be all right. And not that isn't coming from a good place, but I think it almost, when you say that to someone, you're shutting them down a bit, but you're like, oh, don't worry, it gets better. It's all good. Crack on. It's like, well, you've immediately shut this person down who wants to open up. So, and some people don't want to talk, so I don't want to dive into it, but I'm just like, hey, let's talk about other stuff. Let's just chat. It's just having a conversation and distracting them for a bit. And then I think you feel better when you realize you're human, and you could talk about something in your day that isn't maybe your thoughts. So yeah, thoughts got pretty dark and probably a lot darker than I even put in the song, but it's maybe that's the part of me that was thinking commercially. I'm like, well, I can't get too dark because no one's going to want to listen to the song. But I think I touch on it, and I'm proud of what we've done with it.
Yeah, I would be too. And those of us who have been there know the ... we know what you left out. Yeah. Let's talk about the rant. If you need a minute, take a minute. Like it's all that you've got. Another hour doesn't matter if it helps you to stop counting the days that you've lost over and over. I just feel that. Oh, how did you come? Tell me the thought behind that. Then I should be having you read these, not me. Sorry.
No, you read it really well. It's nice to hear it read instead of sung. This is all thanks to my brother. I was going through this and took these things to him, and he turned them into what you see here. And it was like, I can't remember ever being happy. And he made that into a verse. And then I was just like, sometimes you got to take time for yourself. And he was like, well, look, he would say to me, you just got to take a minute. Let's take a minute. Let's just go for a walk. Let's talk. And he was just like, hang on, like, this is what we need to talk about. Because if you need a minute, take a minute.
If you need a minute, take a minute, like it's all that you got. Another hour doesn't matter if it helps you to stop counting the days that you lost over and over.
And I think this applies to everyone. It's something that everyone is connecting with, is to remember just to take some time in your day, even if you're not actually going through something, like if you're not feeling depressed or anxious or suffering with something mentally, it's still good just to take a minute. You know how I think we're also obsessed with life is full on, right? We're striving to achieve greatness or whatever. Like we fill our days with sometimes meaningless stuff just to keep busy. We all love to be busy. I think social media has like encouraged us to, we think we have to be leading a life that is like, whoa, everything's going great. But sometimes just take a minute, like even if you're just sitting down and having a cup of tea, or you're watching a bit of like TV, or you go for a walk or whatever it is, it's just to take that minute for you and not to give it to someone else. Like give yourself just a breather and just be like, oh, okay. And, for me, it was just at a time when I needed to stop counting those days over and over in my head. Like, why did I do that? Why am I here? What's going on? And it was just like, okay, let's just stop a second. And it's the second half of this chorus where it's like, no one said it's easy, but it's easy to forget what they say.
No one said it's easy, but it's easy to forget what they say. Another hour doesn't matter if it helps you to take back all the days that you lost. Anything can happen if you want it enough.
But it's very easy when you're suffering with depression to forget what they say. And like, if it's what I was referring to earlier, when someone just says to you, oh, don't worry, I know it's hard, but it's going to get better. So it's like, so I forget those things people say, because it's almost like I don't want to hear that. I almost want to hear the truth, where it's like, well, you know what, this is really shit and it is really hard and it's not going to get better for a while. So let's talk about it. You're like, another hour, it doesn't matter if it helps you to take back all the days that you lost. Just take some time. For me, everything comes back to time, because it's like obviously the rarest commodity, the one thing we can't buy more of in this world of ours and the life we live. It's our best friend. It can sometimes feel like your worst enemy because the days are long and the nights are longer.
Well,
but
and when you keep saying hey, it'll get better, the people who haven't experienced it don't understand that when we're in it, we truly believe we will never feel better. This is how I am now. Yeah. This is how it is now. And that is a really hard place from which to grasp hope, to hang on to, to find it and then to hold on to it.
Yeah. Yeah, where do you find it? It's such a, I I don't know. I couldn't tell you where I found it. It's just, I created that routine, and I think that gave me some comfort, having a place and a way of living each day, of getting through each day, you could say. Like, you know, I had a purpose because I created myself a routine to wake up, to walk, to work, to try and eat some dinner, to watch a TV show that made me laugh every night. I can't remember what the series was called. It's an American show. I've totally forgotten, but I, you know, for example, I had an episode of that every night. I'd watch one or two of those, and I'd be like, okay, like, it would actually make me laugh. And I was like, this is good. I've laughed today. There's like a little bucket list of every day I'd tick off, like, I've done these things, and that helped me. Because how do you find hope when you feel that low? Like, what gives you nothing? I don't think anything anyone can say or anything you read, like, nothing is like, oh yes, they've done it, I can do it. Because even if you know other people have gotten through it, you're like, well, I haven't gotten through it. I'm here. How do you get out? So I think you just have to keep moving. But that sounds, I mean, it's easier said than done, you know?
So Terry, I love this song. I think it's beautiful and it's real. And the things that I love the most about it are the messages about keep moving on, hold on, you know, don't give up. Anything can happen. And the other thing that I also really loved was his emphasis on how powerful it was to be heard and accepted where he was, maybe gently nudged into being able to have conversations about things other than, you know, what he couldn't get out of his head. But I think there's a whole lot of power in just acknowledging to people that it just sucks right now. Period. Like, that is a complete sentence. Yep. And that we don't have to say it's going to get better and, you know, all of those things, which, again, you know, you forget. Even if you hear them again, it may not even have an impact. So just acknowledging sometimes that it really is bad right now. It just is. And it's probably going to be for a while. So just like he did, what can I do while I'm waiting for that anything to happen? You know, what can I do to take care of myself? What are the things, the routines that I can get into? How can I weather this? And I really like that part of it. Anything can happen, you know, if you wait long enough and if you can be kind to yourself and compassionate to yourself as you're waiting. And so that's what I love about, you know, both the song and Matt's being really open and honest about what it was like for him. Absolutely. And I do like that idea that while we wait for the anything, that we have to do things. You know, there are steps we can take, and that might be, it's definitely harder some days than others. Sometimes it's damn near impossible. But when we can, to just say, I am going to get out of bed. I am going to shower. I am going to eat. Maybe I'm going to go outside. Maybe I'm going to go to work, whatever, you know, is allowable. And then that facilitates the change, the anything that can happen. And I'm not sure, certainly not in my experience and a lot of the people we've talked to, lying in bed, is it laying in bed? I'm so bad with that. It is lying. Lying in bed is seldom a catalyst for change or improvement or healing or recovery or any of those words. So I really appreciated how, actually we get into it also in the next episode, but how specific he was about the value of a schedule and just making himself do something that could bring change. Including watching a funny show, an episode of a show every night. I love that he included that, because I have so many people who think that that's being lazy and self-indulgent and it's not going to help anything and they're wasting time. But if you can watch something that's familiar and funny and it just kind of puts you in a good mood or reminds you of better times, that's powerful. That's really powerful. I remember laughing and thinking, oh, like it was almost an unfamiliar sound, you know, to laugh out loud. And I thought, oh, well, good. It's still in there, you know. There's some joy. Something can get to me. Exactly. And I recently talked to somebody who's in a depression, and he said, you know, I've got the TV on and it's just ridiculous. You know, it's like they're my friends because I can't interact with friends. And I said, was it something funny? And he said, yeah. And I laughed. And I said, that sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think surrounding yourself with, whether that's, a virtual community or, people might think it's strange to think of, characters on a show or, like I watch the Great British Baking Show and, you feel like you get to know these people and, they're familiar. And I think that for a brain that is just really, really challenged, overstimulated or just kind of numb, what is familiar, as long as it's comforting and it's helpful and positive and non-shaming, I think is very healthy and very good for our brains. It's still input, it's still stimulation, but it's familiar. It doesn't like take energy to have to understand it or appreciate it. And so for that reason, I think it can be really, again, really powerful.
And how about Matt's friend?
I was just going to ask you, what did you think about this friend?
It inspired me to be a better support to some people I know who are struggling, because if someone's having trouble, for instance, working, if I said, you know what, let's just put our phones on speaker and work together. And, if just hearing somebody there and feeling less alone while you're trying to do what you do.
It's wonderful.
I've never heard that phrase.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's really big in the autistic and ADHD community, that you can get more done and be productive if you can do it with someone. So, so people will go online to YouTube and they will clean with a person who's cleaning their home, so that you're not alone doing it and you can watch what they're doing, and it makes it easier for your brain to not have to think, oh yeah, how do you unload the dishwasher, which sounds maybe for someone who's not struggling ridiculous, but having somebody there doing it with you is always something that helps you to get going. So
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just loved that. I wanted that. So shout out to Matt's friend.
Yes.
I think Kieran was the name. So way to model being an awesome support. Yeah. That was really, really inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I wish everybody could have a Kieran in their lives.
I know. I wish I had one. Absolutely. I wouldn't mind being one sometimes either.
Yeah.
Nice. So we will be back next week. We're going to play the second verse and talk more with Matt, including how the song has been received and what a surprise that was to the band.
I can't wait for the second episode. I loved the song so much.
Thank you, Matt. We will be back with more of our discussion and your song next week. And thank you, Anita, as always.
Thanks, Terry. We truly hope that our podcast brings a little more understanding, helps you better articulate and reflect on your own experience with depression, or better understand how to support someone else who is struggling.
If this episode has been of comfort or value to you, know that there are hundreds of others like it in our archive, which you can easily find at our website, givingvoicetodepression.com. And remember, if you're struggling, speak up, even if it's hard. If someone else is struggling, take the time to listen.